Mac, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. I have escaped Nashville, Tennessee. This guy calls it home, and certainly the explosion of all things hotels and bars and bachelorette parties and more than just country music has now led to a football team that's on the upward swing and certainly beating the Ravens 23-20 over the weekend. Help that. Paul Kuharsky is a longtime writer in the Nashville area of all things sports. I met him covering the Nashville Predators many, many moons ago with Barry Trotz. He is at Paul Kuharsky NFL out on Twitter, and you can find paulkuharsky.com as well as the Midday 180 and throw him around on Twitter and out on the web. Tell you what, you got a decent football team down there. I know on our side of the fence, we're going to be here licking our wounds the next 2 weeks saying, how did we lose? How did we lose? Well, the offense shoved it down the defense's throat when it mattered in the fourth quarter, didn't it, Paul?
Yeah, it took them a while. I mean, that third quarter, the Titans didn't do a thing. I think they gained 16 yards. And, you know, we've been complaining about their scripted stuff not being so good. They came out, they played pretty well early, and then really faded. But in the fourth quarter, they needed that drive, and they got the plays they needed. Marcus Mariota with a great throw to Delaney Walker for 25 yards. I think a swing pass to Murray got him 17, and then, Marcus hasn't thrown on the move nearly as much as people would think. He moved to his right and kind of reset on that touchdown to Decker, who was not the primary target. It was kind of a savvy move by him to get open, but 3 for 3 in the red zone was a big deal for the Titans, and now they get to get the next two teams in the AFC North with Cincinnati coming here, and then Thursday night at Pittsburgh.
Well, the 3-point difference in the game might have been the first drive and a couple of plays of what I call trickanery. And I talked to Eric Weddle after the game about it, and he's like, we just weren't prepared for it. I mean, they had a couple of wrinkles, and you mentioned scripted plays. It was very obvious they came out on that first drive, and it was all very, very scripted, and 2 of the big plays worked, and that really led to the first 3 points. And I think it kept the Ravens off balance to see that coming at them early on, stuff that they weren't seeing on tape.
Which is a big deal here because, I wrote lately that Logan Ryan, the cornerback, talked about how the defense needed to survive the script, and if you make it through those first 15 plays, you kind of get your bearings. Well, the Titans hadn't really been forcing anybody to survive the script, and their marquee wins this year, a good win over Seattle, a good win over Jacksonville. They played lousy in the first half and then kind of took things over in the second half. So coming out of the bye, it was significant that they were able to do some things at the start. And I thought they kind of passed to set up the run. And the run they were setting up wasn't very good. Baltimore, obviously, no matter what kind of results the Ravens are getting, can stop the run when Williams is in there. And Titans were kind of banging their head against the wall on that, but they did enough.
He is Paul Kuharsky. You can find him at paulkuharsky.com. That is his place. He's also at the Midday 180. You can find him at Paul Kuharsky NFL out on Twitter. Tens of thousands follow him in the land of the Titans and the Predators for all things Nashville sports. And certainly this kid Byard is, a star is born on the defensive side. And I know I didn't talk to you last week, and I chased you down, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say about Dick LeBeau as an 80-year-old man falling in love with his 22, 23-year-old kid from mid-Tennessee State. And, the one thing we talked about all week was this kid's ability to go up and get the ball. And lo and behold, Joe Flacco knew about it. Joe Flacco's watched the tape, and twice he came down with the football. Obviously one of those times, Rashad Berryman didn't even go up and really make a representative play and get up at the height of the ball.
Yeah, and these were better picks. 2 of the 3 2 games ago, or 2 weeks ago in their last game against the Browns were just really bad throws by the Browns. But 5 in 2 games, gives him 6 on the year, puts him in the lead of the NFL. And the Titans have not been a ball-hawking team, and they haven't drafted well in the second round. But he was the 3rd-round pick in John Robinson's first draft, very savvy, and has a real knack for the ball. Hopefully, for their sake, it's contagious. Still waiting on a first pick from Adoree Jackson, who got thrown at a lot yesterday, but I think he only allowed 7 catches for 36 yards or something like that. And secondary certainly coming to life. What the Titans have to do is start scoring off of these. Those 5 interceptions, they've gotten 1 touchdown, no field goals, 7 points off of 5 turnovers. That's really bad. I guess they got used to not getting the ball back like that. Don't know what to do with it when they get it.
Chatting with Paul Kuharsky down in Nashville, Tennessee. You can find him at Paul Kuharsky NFL on Twitter. This portion of our WNST programming brought to you by Box Hill Pizzeria, the best crab cakes in Arthur County. They call it a pizzeria, but it's really a crab cakeria. They even ship them down to Tennessee. BoxHillPizzeria.com, the way to do that. Also, give the King a ring this holiday season. King Discount Liquors, lottery, booze, beer, and the best prices in Baltimore. Get out to Rosedale and give the King a ring. I'm going to need some Malbec here for a bye weekend and a red zone weekend. We talked so much about Marcus Mariota and being the savior of the franchise. Paul, you've been there through all of this, and to see Steve McNair's kids out on the field and all the alumni coming in at halftime, and you've been a part of this for so long. Mariota is celebrated as sort of the next thing, and I still look at it and say this thing's very much in motion there, because I don't think anybody really respects the receivers there enough. I think the running game's there, but to see him do what he's going to be able to do, it really is about Corey Davis and some of these younger guys. It won't be Delaney Walker in the end, right? I mean, it's going to be a new crop of younger people when you're trying to have a parade in Nashville.
Yeah, I would think so, though. I think it could be reasonable to expect them to contend in that way next year. Delaney Walker will still be a part of that. Corey Davis was back yesterday after being out since the middle of the second game with a hamstring. He can change the way this team is covered. He could pull double teams away from Walker, and he could prevent people from putting the 8th or 9th guy in the box against the run game. So they have to figure out how to have him make enough plays that he changes the way they're covered, and that could really do something for this offense. Mariota, I think, is a definite in this league, but he has not played well enough this year. He played better yesterday, and he had a couple games. He missed one entirely and played 2 with a bum hamstring that certainly had a bearing on his game. But we haven't seen the kind of tight anticipatory throws that he was making during his best stretch last year. And then, of course, in Nashville, everybody's watching Carson Wentz go crazy in Philadelphia, and he was the second pick in the draft recently, too, like Mariota was. So it's time for Marcus to get going. And this team is built, it's a run-first team. November and December should be when you see its best. They need DeMarco Murray to get healthy and get going as well, with Derrick Henry coming as the second swing in the 1-2 punch.
As far as the Ravens go and where we are, this is a devastating loss because, these are the teams that are going to be at that 9-7, 10-6, 8-8, whatever it's going to be at the end. And I think we've all sort of conceded at this point the Ravens are a wild card division player at this point. But this is very convoluted in the AFC. No one's particularly good, right? I'll give the Patriots and the Chiefs and the Steelers, and even the Chiefs lost. But, I'll give them that they are the best teams in their division right now. But the AFC, by and large, this is very winnable from a Ravens perspective to say we're going to play 4 backup quarterbacks the rest of the way and the Cleveland Browns. It's all kind of sitting there for any of these 4-4s and 5-3s and 4-5s.
Yeah, I think it is, and I'm surprised at how many people are upset by that or really covet a target who's clearly the best team in the league. And Philadelphia's got that on the NFC side, but the AFC side, it's the usual suspects, like you said, Patriots, Steelers, but nobody feels invincible by any means. I like that. I like that there's still a lot to be sorted out, and we have to see. I'm surprised at how many people kind of are like, there's not enough good football, or there's not a good target. So I'm curious to see how it all unfolds. I'm thinking the Ravens are going to have a hard time, though I don't disagree with you. It's hardly done for them at this stage. And look, the Titans, things are in their control, right? They've already beaten the Jaguars head-to-head once. They've got them in Nashville for the season finale. And their schedule isn't particularly tough. They get Cincinnati and Pittsburgh will be tough coming up. But, the Rams will be tougher than they anticipated. But they've got some winnable games the rest of the way here. And I think 10 wins is a very reasonable expectation.
Well, it certainly feels like the Texans and the Colts are kind of out of the way, right? Like, not really a factor at all. And we're probably going to be helping you guys out 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. We have Houston. But the backup quarterback thing and the star players and, even Deshaun Watson going down this week, it really has led to, and you've been doing this a long time, Paul, the games aren't very good. The teams, you look at these teams and say nobody's very good, and the 60 minutes that goes on out on the field, nothing particularly spectacular happens so much lately.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I like games first and foremost that come down to the end and the tension. So you think back, what was it, the Oakland Kansas City game that we had 3 plays with no time on the clock because of penalties and stuff like that. So if you give me drama, fourth quarter drama, I'll take it, and I feel like I'm getting a fair enough dose of that. But I also think, like I said, a lot of unanswered questions still, probably more so than usual for the first week of November. And I think people who are football fans should kind of sit back and take that as, hey, this one's going to be a little bit more compelling in some different ways. And certainly, like you said, there's room for a lot of teams to get a lot better. I imagine at least a couple are going to do that.
This portion of our programming brought to you by our friends at Coppin State University. We are your home for Eagles basketball, ladies and men's this year, as well as the Juan Dixon Show. You can learn more at CoppinStateSports.com. If you're over in Highlandtown, make sure you stop by, say hello to Andy at G&A Coney Island Hot Dogs. Have him give you one with some ketchup and relish. Don't forget those French fries and the gravy. You can learn more there at GNARestaurant.com. Paul Kuharsky's been covering sports in Nashville for a couple of decades now. He's at Paul Kuharsky with a Y NFL out on Twitter and at PaulKuharsky.com, where he loves Bruce Springsteen and also hosts the Midday 180 in the Nashville area. And I guess this week you see Joe Flacco come in, you see the Ravens come in, you see Macklin and Watson and Wallace and these familiar names. Some thoughts on the backside of where the Ravens are for you. And you mentioned fourth quarter drama, 4th and 1. It wasn't even 1. It was more like 12 inches. And the Ravens can't do that, and they have to go to the film, and the film does. At some point, I think the Flacco MVP thing starts to look like yesterday's news in a place like Nashville, and it doesn't look like this big bad quarterback that's going to come in there and throw the ball over your head. I don't know who's going to throw the ball over your head, too, when Perryman can't go up and get the football.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Flacco looks like, he's largely a flash in the pan. He had a fantastic, peaked at the right time, played the best football of his life during the playoff run, and won a Super Bowl. But right now, he's not instilling fear in anybody. And, I'm kind of surprised the trajectory the Ravens have taken in recent years. The first bad year, I said, well, now Ozzie Newsome's going to have higher draft picks, and he's a hell of a drafter, and they're going to refortify that franchise, and they'll get right back to what they were. And haven't really seen it pan out that way to the degree that I expect. And now they're kind of just, like you're saying, one of a bunch of teams that are, maybe could be good enough to be a playoff factor. So I'm surprised because I've been a fan of the culture and the approach, the stability, and but not so much the results right now.
Hey, always appreciate the visit with you. I appreciate you making a little bit of time. We're going to send everybody out to Paul Kuharsky and find you out in Nashville. Onward and upward. Hey, man, if we ever do make the playoffs, I mean, it would be a thing like coming to Nashville or something week 1, right? I mean, that's what it would look like for seed 6 and seed 3 or 5 and 4, right?
Yeah. Right now, I think it would probably be Buffalo. So we'll see if the Ravens get the ship righted and world order is reestablished. Maybe you guys will have another trip down here, and it as good as the scene as it was yesterday, the playoff game in Nashville will be crazy. You saw what happened with the Predators last year. The further they went and through the Stanley Cup, and this is a football town, so.
Well, I've known you a long time, man. I've known you a couple decades going back with Trotz and even through, the early parts of the Brian Billick. We were in the post-game there with Harbaugh where the Banshee and the Spear was 20 years ago now. It really is an incredible thing that's happened to your community down there. I mean, I fly all over this country like you do, chasing football teams and rock stars and beaches and all that. And we have a lot in common. There are very few places where when the plane comes in, you look and you're like, oh, my God, look at what's happened here. I mean, all you got to do is take a cab in from the airport and you see Nashville just becoming this big city in the South all of a sudden, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a great spot. but let's not oversell it here. You don't want to move here like the 100 people a day that are coming. It's not everything you're hearing about. Those of us who've been here for a while, we're ready for the traffic to ease up a little bit.
Yeah, go back to the beach or wherever you're from. I hear you.
That's right.
Paul, take care of yourself. Thanks for the visit, man.
Good to be with you.
You got it. Paul Kuharsky, NFL is the way to find him out on Twitter. He's been doing it a couple of decades down there in Nashville. He's also at paulkuharsky.com doing the solo work there. He's also doing some radio, midday 180. You can find him out on Twitter. You can find me in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day. We were the first ones in Baltimore with an audio vault. Everything you want to listen to is there. You can download the TuneIn Radio app and listen live from anywhere in the world. It's all brought to you by buyatoyota.com. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox digitally each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's free of charge and all powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. Last but never least, breaking news, if there is any this week, anything weird's going on with the Ravens front office, you'll find that out first on the WNST text service. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis Kolatzos will be here on Thursday, driving you home from 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST. We're doing a live show next Tuesday night with C.J. Mosley. We're going to have some more details on that. It'll be at 7:30 next Tuesday night. I'm going to give the date, place, time. We also know the cause. There goes my hero. We'll be swabbing for the bone marrow registry. We might also have another special guest with him next Tuesday night. Hold it on your calendar. I'm setting it up as we speak. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on your Facebook as well as your YouTube WNSTV page. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.